A recovered alcoholic. My name's Pat Rogan.
Pat Rogan.
Thanks to the 12 Steps of Alcoholics Anonymous outlined in this big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, which is the program of AA, I have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body, and for that I will be forever grateful. AA didn't just save my life, but it gave me a new life, and a new life worth living. And I'm just glad to be here. I'm really grateful, overwhelmingly grateful for the life that I have today. And it's all really because of these rooms. I could never pay AA and recovery back for what I've been given in life. It's just an incredible way of life. So there's this Irishman on the way to a meeting, and it's pouring down rain like crazy, and he can't find a parking place, and he wants to get close to the door so he doesn't get soaking wet, and he says, "Lord, if you find me a parking place, I'll stop my drinking and I'll go to Mass every Sunday." And all of a sudden the clouds part and his light beam comes out and shines right down on a parking place, and the guy says, "Never mind, Lord, I found one." You know? It's kind of like AA, isn't it? Like, I'll do anything. You know, just tell me what to do, I'll do anything. All right, meet me Wednesday. Wednesday. Hockey Wednesday. You know, I think I can make it Wednesday. One guy said to me, "Isn't that Halloween Eve?" You know, I didn't even know there was such a holiday. But you know, maybe we overreacted is what we do, right? I'll do anything. We go to a meeting, we sit there, and then maybe we overreacted. You know, maybe I don't need this. And I'll tell you, I'm here not via consequences. I'm not here because I blew up my life. I blew up my life twice out there. But I'm not here because of that. I'm here because alcohol started treating what I like to refer to as the internal condition. Mark Houston gave me that line when I listened to him speak. The internal condition. The book talks about spiritual malady, this spiritual sickness, this emotional cripple who walked into the rooms of AA. That was not one of those guys that walked into these rooms and felt better. You know, I did not. I mean, I blamed it on the detoxing for the first week or two. But then a month into this thing, I'm dying inside, and I feel like this thing isn't working for me. And 2 months into this thing, I'm feeling even worse. And about 2 months into this deal, I realized why I drank. Sandy Beach says, "You know what happens when you stop drinking? You're sober. That shit sucks." You know? Charlie Parmalee, who was my mentor, always said, "You'll feel better when you come to AA. You'll feel anger better. You'll feel resentment better. You'll feel fear better." And I realized why I drank. And now I don't have my medicine anymore. And I'm in here. And the reason I'm here is because out there the drinking stopped working. But I'm in here and I don't like not drinking. And that's a conundrum. That's a tough place to be. That's a jumping off point that they talk about in Vision for You, where we can't live with it, we can't live without it. And that's why I'm here. And you know, I felt like Bill Wilson. I love his story when he talks about the stock market crashing and people jumping out of windows and committing suicide. Bill said, "Fuck that, I went back to the bar." You know? And I had to put that in there for you, Steve. You know? Trying to cut back on the F-bombs. It's hard. It's sometimes the only word that works, you know? But I'm sure that's what Bill said. Okay. And what's he do? He goes back to the bar, he gets with the group conscience, right? And they decide to go to Canada and make some money up there, right? Found a solution in the bottle. And that was what I was used to doing. You know, I feel like I'm in AA 2 months sober, and I feel like a 5-year-old again that's scared to death to walk into school. You know? This internal condition, and this is when I refer to unmanageability, that's what I refer to. What's managing my life? My feelings are managing my life. My emotions are managing my life. Alcohol is making that acceptable. Alcohol is calming that sickness. Man, if I knew what alcohol was going to do for me at 16, I would have done it at 5. You know, because I was the kid who was scared to death to walk into school. I was the kid that skipped school in first grade. Who does that? I didn't even know what skipping school was. I just knew I was scared to death to walk into that school, and I got picked up by the police and taken home a bunch of times. I was that kid in school that had his homework done. But I'm not getting up in the class and reading it. Give me the F and move along. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to make a fool of myself, because that's what I thought. I had this inner dialogue that said, you're too short, you're not smart enough, you're not good looking enough, your ears stick out, why do you have those freaking freckles on your face? You just don't fit in. And I wasn't. And I don't know why I wasn't a part of. I just wasn't a part of. Always on the outside looking in. Last kid picked, me and the heavy kid. I don't say fat anymore. I got grandchildren now. You should see the stuff I'm corrected by my son. Jesus. I said, that's stupid. You can't say that. What do I say? Mentally challenged? I don't know. The new world, man. I was a kid scared to death to ask a girl out, teenager, scared to death to ask a girl out, because if she said no, I'd have to kill myself. I just couldn't take that kind of rejection. But guys, that's a tough place to live, right? When all you can think about is getting laid, and you can't talk to girls. That's a problem, I didn't go to the dances. I didn't go to the homecomings. I didn't participate in any of that stuff. The only thing I was good at was baseball. I played junior and senior high school ball, and still was always on the outside looking in, not part of the cool guys, just on the outside. I don't know why that is. I don't know why I ended up an emotional cripple at a very young age. But and maybe it was the violence in my house. I don't know. My dad was a violent drunk. There's no doubt about that. You never know who was showing up. You didn't know if that guy was going to show up, and my mom would ask him where he's been for the last few days, and all hell would break loose. I really have a picture of me and my sister and brother sitting there eating popcorn, watching TV while my dad beat the shit out of my mom. But then some days he'd come in and say, hey, pack up the car, we're going camping. And we'd go up to northern Pennsylvania, up Cook's Forest area, and have a time of our lives up there in the woods with nature and fishing and swimming. And sometimes halfway there, my mom would say something stupid like, where'd you get this car? And, he'd have to explain that he spent the mortgage money on the car, and all hell would break loose. And I literally remember my mother getting thrown out of the car in the middle of nowhere, halfway, 50 miles from Pittsburgh. And the three of us looking at each other and going, well, Mom's gone, We'll get another one, Hey, look, that's not why I'm an alcoholic. We're going to talk about what it means to be powerless here tonight. What it means to be powerless is I can't stay stopped and I can't control the amount I drink, right? That's what it means to be powerless. Choice and control. I'm not an alcoholic because of the way I was raised. Now, that might have been why I needed a drink, but it's not why I'm alcoholic. It did create a slightly nervous disposition. I love Jim's story. That's my favorite. Perfectly normal in every way, except a slightly nervous disposition. That was me. Arms fly up for no reason, the twitches, and you touch one eye, you got to touch the other. Am I the only one? Itch one nose, you got to itch the other. Touch one ear, you got to touch the other one. This weird shit. My brother thinks about our childhood. He was sitting there with all that violence, and my brother thinks about it, and he has a couple drinks, and he goes to bed. He starts feeling a little better about it. He gets depressed. Maybe even calls me and talks about it. I have a couple of drinks, and I get an 8-ball and, and go for a run. Totally different reaction, My dad left when I was about 5 or 6 years old, and my mom married another violent drunk. And the poor woman was trying to survive. She had 4 kids by then, and she was just trying to survive. I give her credit. Waitress at night, and getting kids up for school in the morning. 4 of us. And I was getting into my teens, and him and I started to clash, and I knew I needed to get out of that house. I knew that we were getting physical, and I was the oldest of the 4. And I knew that a car was my ticket to freedom. My driver's license would be my ticket to freedom. And I bought a car at 14 years old, anticipating my driver's license at 16. At 16, the longest 2 years of my life, by the way. Right? Anybody remember those years waiting to get that driver's license? Like 700 more days, you know. And at 16, I drove to Harrisburg from Pittsburgh with no driver's license to get my learner's permit, and but stole the license plate off my stepfather's car and stuck it on my car, and drove. The rules didn't apply even before I picked up a drink, and got my permit, got my license, and I knew it was my ticket to freedom. And my cousin Russell finds out that I got a driver's license, and he calls me up, which made me very valuable, a driver's license and a car. In the early 70s, that was cool. And if you had a beer tap, if anybody knows what that is, if you had a beer tap, that made you really more valuable, because you didn't have to put the $35 deposit down on the tap. I don't even think they have kegs anymore. Yeah, okay.
I wouldn't know.
You wouldn't. So Russell says, hey, come pick us up. We're going to a dance tonight out in Wilkinsburg. I said, no, I don't do the dance thing. That's not my thing. And he said, no, you don't have to dance. Just, there's going to be a rock band there. Just listen to the band, hang out. And I said, all right. So I picked him up and picked up my buddy Rat. Everybody's got a friend named Rat, right? Rat was a 16-year-old Italian that looked 30. You know, like he had hair coming out of his chest. He was balding, you know. In Pennsylvania, you had to be 21 to buy liquor. I don't know if anybody's from there, but they have state stores and beer distributors. It's a whole different deal, right? Down here, when I saw a bottle of wine in a 7-Eleven, I couldn't freaking believe it, right? You can fondle the bottle. You can handle them, put them back, pick up another one. Up there, you had to point across the counter and what you wanted. And had LCV cards at that time. And beer distributors, you had beer at the beer distributor, and the liquor was at the liquor store, at the state store. But Rat looked old enough. They wouldn't card Rat. He'd be able to go into the state store and buy the liquor for us. And Rat bought a bottle of Boone's Farm Strawberry Hill. Yes. And a bottle of orange vodka. And outside of that dance, halfway through that Boone's Farm Strawberry Hill, I went from Pee Wee Herman to John Travolta. You know. And I'm talking Staying Alive. You know, we're talking 73, Saturday Night Fever. John Travolta, man, I was doing the deal. And absolute time of my life. I had a spiritual experience. I really did. I really did. I intuitively knew how to handle situations that used to baffle me. You know? I mean, a whole new world came into view. Right? I knew how my experience could benefit others. You know? And I want to tell you something. I had the absolute time of my life. The inner unmanageability was gone. The emotional cripple was gone. I no longer felt less than. I no longer felt too short or not good looking enough. And I could dance my ass off. You know, that was my opinion. But I mean, I danced with every girl in the dance that night, whether they wanted to or not. You know that guy, girls, that keeps coming around in front of you, like you're dancing with your girlfriends and this guy keeps coming around. That was me, staying alive. You know. Yeah. I slow danced with a girl. I actually touched a girl that night. First time in my life, 16 years old, I put my hands on a girl. And I was never going back to that cripple that walked into that dance. Never. And I found the solution. Not the problem. I found the solution to that unmanageability, to that fear, to that anxiety, to that, Clapton calls it torment. He says, I was a tormented child. And that's who I was. I was a tormented child. Anyway, the short version is I went on a 20-year run. I mean, that's it. My drug of choice became whatever you had. Alcohol was my go-to. I mean, I could always just drink. But if you had something else to enhance that, I was down with it, you know. I didn't even ask what it was half the time. Well, I started asking which direction we were going. You know, we going up or down, you know. Important information after you've wrecked the third car. You know. And, you know, the line I crossed that day was my lips. You know, I was born an alcoholic. I really believe that. I believe I caught the genetic bullet, you know. I come from a long line of drunks. My dad, his 3 or 4 brothers, all drunks. All dead, by the way, except for my father. All his brothers are dead. 2 of his sisters caught the bullet. He has 1 sister alive out of 3. My brothers and sisters, it's me. My sister has 2 years less sober than me. It's Skip, my brother. And then my baby sister died of an overdose about 15 years ago now, in her early 40s. My mom, that poor woman, 3 out of her 4 kids caught the bullet. And she worked in treatment. There's nothing she could do about it, and nothing she could do about it. I like to refer to the new unmanageability as consequences. Wrecked 3 cars that year, got arrested 3 times, lost my driver's license before my 17th birthday for 8 years, got caught 4 times driving under suspension, got my first felony at 19. What's Bill's story say? Ominous warnings, which I failed to heed. And just like Bill's story, my friends are going, look, dude, this is not working for you. We are not hanging with you anymore. We're not going to jail. We're not crashing any more cars. We're done. And I go, no, I got this. It's gonna. I'll figure it out. Right? And I never figured it out. It was as it says in the doctor's opinion, my alcoholic life became the only normal life. If there wasn't alcohol or drugs involved, I wasn't going. That was just the deal. I wasn't going to be there. If it was Christmas, I was one of those guys out in the car. If you weren't allowed to bring liquor in the house, I'm not in the car. I'm an outside guy. But I went on a 20-year run. I had my son in 78. I got married in 1979. And in 1980, I moved from Pittsburgh to South Florida to Fort Lauderdale. And man, I got caught in a snowstorm down here.
Ooh.
If anybody knows what was going on in the 80s, I mean, Jesus. I found a way to drink around the clock and still go to work. It was an amazing gift. I was paying $300 a day to go to work to make 80. It made perfect sense at the time, and I was the number one employee. Nobody had the kind of energy I had, I'll tell you that. They were delivering that shit right to the job site. I mean, it was just incredible. And I became an absentee father, an absentee husband. I mean, there were no more kids in our life. I mean, I was gone most of the time, very rarely home. And I don't know how my marriage even lasts till 1989, but in 1989, she wants out of that marriage so bad that she was willing to give up everything. But that's who I was. If you're leaving with nothing. That's who I was. It's hard to even talk about who I was, because I hate that guy today. I despise that person. But that's who I was. If you're leaving with nothing. I am taking our son, I am taking the house, I am taking the car. And you're on your own. Because that's what I want. I want a hostage. I don't really want somebody that wants to be there. And I'm selfish. It's about me. It's not about you. Well, she wanted out so bad, she gave me everything. Our book asks us not to look back with morbid reflection in the 11th step. It's hard not to look back without regret, I'll tell you. If I was ever going to pick a spot where I hit an emotional bottom, it was right there. It was right after she left. And I was sitting in my bedroom, laying in my bedroom with a bottle of Jose Cuervo 1800. And I was halfway through that bottle. My 10-year-old's in the other room. And this is what goes through my mind. That bitch is out there having a good time. And I'm stuck here with this kid. I tried to take myself out with my son in the other room. Not a thought of how that would affect that child. Not a thought. Never even crossed my mind. That's sad. I despise that person. I thought I was a drug addict who drank. If I could just stop this damn cocaine. And I begged her to come back. Look how much I love you. That's who I was. I'm done. No more drugs. I never touched another drug after that day. And she came back, and we had another child. That make-up sex creates kids. I'm only going to drink on weekends. I made it to Wednesday, I think. And I just couldn't stay stopped. I couldn't live sober. I can't live sober. I don't know how to live sober. I don't know how to deal with life sober. I just can't do sober. And it took 2 years for me to hit a bottom, a physical bottom. I hit an emotional bottom with that suicide attempt, but I tell you what, it took 2 years to hit a physical bottom with alcohol. And I left Brady's Lounge one night in North Lauderdale here, and I don't even know what she said to me. I got home, it was probably 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, and I knocked my wife down in front of my 2 kids, and I hated my father for that. And I gave my 2 sons that same picture. One was 12 and one was 2. They watched their mother hit the floor. And it was the beginning of the beginning, or the beginning of the end, depending on your perception. I mean, looking in the rear view mirror, my life wasn't falling apart, it was falling into place. But I thought it was falling apart. And I was arrested and charged, and restraining order, and she got the house, and she got custody of the children, and she got the car, and I got the hotel room at Days Inn at Commercial Boulevard in 441. And I spent 3 weeks in that hotel room trying to find absolution through that bottle, and I just couldn't find it anymore. You know, Garrett M., my former sponsor, used to say, alcohol would give me permission to violate your principles and mine. It would give me permission to do anything. And then later, when the guilt and the remorse and the shame would set in, it would give me absolution. And I could no longer get absolution from that bottle. And I don't know if anybody's been to that place, and maybe most of you, because you're here, where you're getting up to drink to pass out, to get up to drink to pass out, and substitute your drug of choice. And getting up to use to pass out, to get up to use to pass out. And there's no relief in it anymore. There's no pleasure in it anymore. And we reach that jumping off point that Bill talks about. What now? I don't have the guts to take myself out. And I don't know where the thought comes from. I look back today and I say, it was surely God saying, you're done, I got a job for you, and stuck my ass in AA. But at that moment, I don't know where my sister comes into my head. My sister Jill was in the program, and it says, call your sister. This voice just says, call your sister. And I do. I call my sister, and I said, I need help. Now, I had never talked to my sister about AA. My sister never said you should go to AA. Nobody ever said you should call your sister and go to AA. I don't even know where that comes from. But I knew she was here. And she took me to my first AA meeting at the 5th Chapter Club, Lighthouse Point, 4699 North Federal Highway. I'll never forget that place. Frank Pax, what a great guy. And I remember absolutely nothing about that meeting. Absolutely nothing. It was Charlie Brown's teacher, man. You know, like, wah, 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 wah. And all that's going through my head is, I got to get that house back. I got to get that wife back. I got to get those kids back. That's all that's going through my head. And all I hear in that meeting is, at the end of the meeting, a guy that looked just like Papa Smurf get up and ask if anybody wanted to start a new way of life. And I jumped up out of my chair and picked up a white chip. And that was March 26, 1991. That's the only white chip I've ever picked up. And I don't know if he asked that question any other way, whether I get up. I was not ready to surrender. I had a lot of shit to get back. I was not ready to give up the fight. I got to get this restraining order dropped. I got to get custody of my son back. But man, I wanted a new way of life. And I didn't even know what that meant. I had no idea what that meant. My recovery started that day. I didn't even know you guys didn't drink. My sister drank. She'd been here for years. I had no idea. When I found that out, I said, this is forever? Yeah. You know, some smart-ass old-timer come up to me and said, no, Sonny, this is just for today. It's not forever. I went, oh, okay. That was some wise words. Because I always thought in the forever moment. I never thought about just today. I just never thought about that. I mean, when we really get down to the core of this program, it's just today. It's right now. It's just now. You know, we really break it down into the moment once we get this thing. But I fell in with the don't drink and go to meetings crowd. I'm warning you. Don't do that. Actually, our mantra was don't drink and go to Denny's. And we went to Denny's every freaking night. You know, and that became my life. Work AA Denny's. Work AA Denny's. Work AA Denny's. And I used to sit there and go, this cannot be my life. You know, this cannot be what I've ended up. And we have this euphoric recall, right? Like things were great out there, and now I'm here at Denny's. And I wanted to ask you guys what you did for fun, but I think that's what you were going to tell me, that you went to Denny's. You know, and ice cream on Thursday. You know, you guys do a lot of eating. I was dying in AA. I was literally dying in AA. Now, I get what you guys are trying to do. I'm grateful to the fellowship. I mean, they were trying to take me to Denny's and bloat me with food, right? They were like moons over my hammy and grand slams and French slams and all that shit. You know, the ice cream sundaes, and then they'd send me to my mom's house. I was living at my mother's in the back room, and I was too full to drink by the time I left there. But I wasn't getting better. Wasn't getting better. You will become who you hang out with, and you know, don't drink and go to meetings is a great suggestion. Don't pick up the first one. What they say, don't pick up, even if your ass falls off, pick it up and take it. What the fuck does that mean? Pick up your ass and take it to a meeting, right? If I could not pick up the first one, I wouldn't be here. Like, good suggestion. Nancy Reagan, just say no, right? Just say no. If I could say no, I wouldn't have lost everything in my life. I can't just say no. That's why I'm here. So this don't drink and go to Denny's thing was not working well for me. And I'm picking up a 90-day red chip, and I want out. I want out. This is some kind of cult. You know, this sharing bullshit, I want no part of anymore. If somebody hugs me again, I'm punching their ass. You know. And I just took off on this one guy. This guy that, and you know him, you've met him. I have a life beyond my wildest dream. That guy, oh, that pissed me off. You know. I go up to him, I say, you're in AA. What are you talking about, a life beyond your wildest dream? Nobody wants to be here. He says, oh, yeah, I do. You don't even have a car. Do you have a girlfriend? No and no. And you have a life beyond your wildest dreams? Yes, with this big smile on his face. Punch his ass, man. You know, like, so full of shit. You know. I told everybody off in the meeting. This is enough. I've had enough. I took my red chip. I went out to the railing at the fifth chapter. Comes on the second floor. And I'm looking over that railing wondering what my next move is. I'm in the same place in AA that I was in the hotel room. There's just no liquor involved. I can't stand the way I feel for one more freaking second, and I can't drink. Well, I can't stand the way I feel for one more freaking second in that hotel room, and I can't stop drinking. What's the difference? Both of them are unbearable. And I'm contemplating my next move, and Brian H. is in that meeting, and he hears me just telling off the whole meeting. And he approaches me on the railing and says, you know there's a program here. And I said, yeah, I've been coming for 3 months. He said, no, you've been attending meetings. Welcome to the fellowship. This is the program. He has one of these in his hand. This is the program. This. I don't even know what he's talking about. Well, I'm sure somebody mentioned it in the meetings that I went to. I was going to 270 and 90, you know. It wasn't like I didn't have nowhere else to go. I was in meetings constantly. I got off work. I was at the 5:30, the 7, the 8:30, the 10, and then Denny's. I'm sure somebody mentioned this book. You know. But this crap that was going on in my head about getting the house and the car and the wife and the kids and a new girlfriend so I can fix her. I'll teach her a lesson. You know, looking at the back of the head of my next wife, you know, from the back row. Then they'd share, and ooh, Jesus. Ooh. Maybe I should try to get mine back. Brian says, would you like to hear about the program? Why not? We go to his little Mazda behind the 5th Chapter Club, and he reads the doctor's opinion to me. And man, I do not know where you were hiding that information. But that is some pertinent information right there. You will not hear me in a meeting today without mentioning the doctor's opinion. What does it mean to be powerless? I'm 3 months here. I don't know what that means. I'm hearing people, places, and things. You're powerless over people, places, and things. Yeah. Okay. That's not what this is about. That's not what it means to be powerless here. I'm powerless over alcohol. That means my life's unmanageable. What does that mean? Brian read the doctor's opinion. Oh my God. How many thought they were crazy when they got here? Right? Who gives up careers? Who gives up their freedom? Who gives up children? I lost custody of my son. There's no one or nothing I love more than that boy. My 2 boys are... Nobody, I don't love anything more than those 2 kids. I lost them both. You'd have to be crazy to do that. No, you could be sick. You can suffer from an illness, a twofold illness. Brian talked about an illness of the mind and an illness of the body. An obsession of the mind. An idea that overcomes all other ideas to the contrary. An idea that only lets you see or think what alcohol is going to do for you and completely blocks out what it's going to do to you. And if you're an addict sitting here, substitute your drug of choice. I can't stand the way I feel for one more freaking second, and that will fix it. We don't see the jail. We don't see the loss of the relationship. We don't see the loss of custody. We don't see the career loss. We're going to be tested Friday. Fuck it. My favorite paragraph and more about alcoholism. What about when we deliberately go out and get drunk knowing the consequences? How many have done that? Right? How many have done that? Right? You're not even believing a lie. You're just in so much pain. Emotionally. So much pain. Fuck it. And your friends are telling you, don't do it. Look, let me tell you what's going to happen. You're going to go to jail. Fuck it. Yep. You know she's leaving. We'll say shit like, I don't care. You know you're going to lose your job. I don't care. And I don't in that moment. We think living one day at a time or one moment at a time something new when we get here. We've been doing that our whole lives. You know you got rent tomorrow. Screw it. Buy everybody around. You know? Screw that Graham. Let's get an 8-ball. Once we fall prey to the obsession and put the substance in our body, we have this physical craving that develops that prevents us from controlling the amount we take. We're off on the run. He described here's my life. Let me read my life to you. Here's my life. Restless, irritable, and discontented. Unless they can experience that ease and comfort, which comes at once by taking your drug of choice. Right? Drinks and drugs that we see others taking with impunity. Like they don't seem to be getting into trouble that I'm getting into. Of course, I didn't hang out with those people. Once they succumb to the desire again of somebody, the phenomenon of craving develops, and they pass through the well-known stage of a spree, right? Ease and comfort, restless, irritable, discontent, ease and comfort, boom, off to the races. Coming out of it, I'm so sorry. Honey, believe me this time. Your Honor. Yeah, I know what I said Tuesday. I know what I said. But now I really mean it. That's a true story, by the way. I got that felony charge that I was framed for. I'm in the Allegheny County Jail in Pittsburgh, first time ever in community lockup in the Allegheny in a county jail. I'm in my Travolta outfit, 125 pounds. I look like a date, I have never been so scared in my life. Never been so scared in my life. And I begged that judge the next morning at that arraignment, Your Honor, please. I swore on my mother. Never again. Never again. I'm done. I'm so, believe me, I've learned my lesson. My first reaction when I hit the streets in downtown Pittsburgh was, thank you. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm out. My next thought was, you need an attorney. That's going to cost you a lot of money that you don't have. Your car's impounded, you need to get your car out of impound, you don't have money for that either. Maybe you need to just take the edge off. And I was drunk before I got home. How many can relate to that? Right? I swear on my mother, and 3 hours later I'm drunk. Okay? All I wanted to do was take the edge off. I don't know about a physical craving. I don't know what alcoholism is. I don't even know that I'm an alcoholic. I just wanted to take the edge off. And the edge off became a run. And now I'm in trouble again. That's the circle of life for Pat. Restless here when discontent, ease and comfort, run, I'm so sorry. Restless here when discontent, ease and comfort, the run, I'm so sorry. And what's it say? This is repeated over and over and over. I'm stuck in this cycle. And I don't stop unless I'm too sick or I'm locked up. That's the only thing that stops me. And as soon as I get out or feel like I can hold something in or down, I'm on another run. I love the line in the doctor's opinion talks about, this explains a lot of things that we could never otherwise account for, right? Like why I called home and said I was on my way home, leaving work, going through the drive-through pick and pack, and getting one Budweiser for the ride home. I told her to start dinner, I'm on my way home, and I get one Budweiser for the ride home, and I never freaking make it home. I had no idea. My son's football guy, I never saw my son play football. He played football in grade school and middle school. I'll be there Friday night. Yeah, you said that last Friday. No, I'm serious. I'll be there this Friday. No, I mean it. I'll be there. Trust me. Never saw him play. Just got a beer for the ride there. And then what? Well, let me stop at the body shop real quick, say hi to the fellas for a minute. Have a couple of pops with them because dinner ain't going to be ready for an hour yet, and the game doesn't start till 8. Hell, might as well stop at Kokomo's real quick, say hi to Joey over there. Have a couple of pops with him before the game. Next thing I know, it's 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. Some places 4. Depending on the food they served. Now I got to go to work. 8 ball. Frothy emotional appeal seldom suffices. Another line out of the doctor's opinion. Please, you're killing me, my mother. Please, you're killing me. Killing me. I don't get a good night's sleep unless you're locked up. I'm waiting to get a phone call. My mother, do it for those kids. Why can't you do it for those kids? What's wrong with you? That girl, she loves you. Your wife, she loves you. How can you keep doing this? I didn't come home on Christmas Eve. Like, who does that? I mean, I would call them on Christmas Eve. Do you ever hear this? How could you? Do you ever hear that line? I heard that a lot. How could you? And I don't think I'm stupid. And all I had was, I don't know. I thought I changed my mind. I mean, I don't know about alcoholism. God, this explained exactly what I needed to know. That I have this twofold illness. Now we're going to talk about a spiritual sickness later. But the doctor's talking about this mental obsession and this physical allergy. That's what it means to be powerless here. I can't stay stopped because of this mental obsession. And I can't control the amount I take once I start. The mind is killing the body while the body is killing the mind. And I'm stuck in that cycle. And unless this individual, this person, the doctor says, have some kind of psychic change, they're hopeless. There's little hope for their recovery. The doctors don't know. They don't have what it takes. We are the experts. We are the experts. That's why I start the first week when I talk about step 1 with my story. Because it's a qualifier. If it wasn't for your stories, I would have left 3 days into this thing. Because you know why? Even though I didn't know what alcoholism was, even though I didn't know what it meant to be powerless, I went like this. Every time I looked at you, I went, oh yeah, I did that. Oh yeah, that happened to me. Oh yeah, I felt just like that. Right? And I would come back and hear another story just like that. The hope that I got from those guys. And if they can do it, maybe I can do it. I just didn't know what was wrong with me. But the stories gave me hope. That's why Bill's story is the first story in page 1. It's designed to give us hope. If Bill can do it, maybe we can do it. I'm telling you, if I can do it, you can do it. The rest of this book is about how do I learn how to stay stopped. We're going to talk a lot about qualifying ourselves as to whether we even belong here or not. Because those are the 2 questions that we're going to be asked about 5 times. We read it and how it works for the last time. I think that's about the 5th time they bring it up. The ABCs. Because right after the ABCs, it says being convinced. We better be convinced. And a lot of this, these next few chapters that we're going to talk about over the next 12 weeks, is about coming to the conclusion as to whether you're beyond human aid or not. Right? Can I stay stopped on my own? Can I just say no? Right? Now that you know your problem is physical, once you put something in your body, it's a physical reaction. So if you don't put anything in your body, you will never go on a run. Right? Knowing that now, stay stopped. Just don't pick up the first one. Our book talks about it. No, I'm not going to say try some controlled drinking because there's crackheads in here. I'm not. Where's my crackheads at? Give me a seat. Let me see a crackhead. Yeah, love you guys. I do. There's no such thing as smoking crack like a normal person. Or controlled crack smoking. You IV users. Where are my IV users? Yeah, same thing. No controlled IV use. Using IVs like normal people. That page you might want to just say, yeah, right. Hey, by the way, that's why it's important to qualify in the right fellowship, right? If an addict comes in here and reads that page and more about alcoholism, they're going, what? Control my crack smoking. I love sponsoring you guys, though, because you get mental obsession and physical allergy. You don't have to spend a lot of time on the doctor's opinion with crackheads. Love you guys. But the brain chemistry is a little different. Hey, let me tell you something before I end here. The doctor's opinion is not the doctor's opinion anymore. They've proven the doctor's opinion, right? They know exactly what's happening in the brain chemistry now. They have isolated the enzyme that we are missing or short on, this PRMD2 enzyme that we are lacking, that keeps us from processing the alcohol and the drugs like some normie. Right? That discourages the use, right? My brother, when he drinks, he starts refusing them because it's a poison, because he's going to puke. The more I give him, the less he wants. He says shit like, I'm starting to feel it. Yeah! That was the idea, wasn't it? He starts refusing drinks. Well, give me that shit. Yeah. This is real deal. This is the real deal. Try to stop on your own. If you're not sure you belong in these rooms, go stay stopped. What's the book say? Try it for a year. Try it for a year. I'm not one of them guys that says, hey, here's $20, go out and get drunk if you're not sure. I'm not that guy. Because you guys go out and die. That's what happens in here. But you know what? There's enough in this program, and there'll be enough in this 12-step series to help you come to the conclusion as to whether you belong here or not. You might be court-ordered here. Maybe you're not one of us. And if you're not one of us, we don't want you here anyway. I really don't. I'm serious when I say that. I don't want a non-alcoholic who doesn't need a spiritual experience to recover to raise their hand and sponsor somebody who's going to die if they don't have a spiritual experience. We don't want that. Then why would you be here anyway? Coffee's not that good. It is a great fellowship. I get that. But that's what we're going to do. The rest of this thing, we're going to find out in the next few chapters whether we even belong here or not. And then we'll talk about the program of action. So I won't be here next week, but I'll see you the week after.